What's going on? We are on the Indy Investor Show. What's going on? Brett Snodgrass here with Randy Placencia. Hey, Randy. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, Brett? Good to be back on here. It's been a long time.
I know. I'm super excited. I haven't been on the Indy Investor Show and it's been a while. So
yeah, man. I think you kicked off the very first one.
I know. I've been on a few in my day. But I'm super excited, man. Indy Investors, welcome to the Indy Investor Show. We're kind of going to go through, we're back, number one. So we're going to be putting these shows out. Super excited to talk about Indianapolis real estate investing. We're going to be digging deep into that. This is our very first show back in the past few months. But yeah, if you guys want to hear about anything about Indianapolis investing, please, let us know, let Randy know or myself know. I am going to be one of the hosts of the show. Randy's going to be one of the hosts of the show. You're going to see some other faces on the Indy Investor Show. Excited about that. But this first show really is just about us being back. And actually, we're going to kind of do a little bit of, Randy's going to ask me some questions today since we haven't seen my face in a while. So, yeah. So shoot, Randy.
Yeah, I'll take it over from there. Thanks, Brett. So, yeah, again, glad to have you back on. It's been a good start to the year, and wanted to kind of go through some things since you're kind of back in the business now, which is exciting. So I wanted to spend some time and talk about that a little bit. Talk about a little bit what you've been up to, and maybe what's your kind of vision, kind of moving forward with our team, and kind of let everyone know about that, and so they know what to expect from us. So let's just kick it off, man. So it's been since 2018 or 19 since you kind of stepped out and kind of started doing your own thing. Kind of briefly kind of get us up to speed on what you've been up to the past few years up to this point. And would love to hear about all about that.
Yeah, no, thanks, man. Yeah, it's been quite the ride, honestly. So if you guys haven't heard just a little bit about just a journey, I've been owning the real estate business for about 16, 17 years, and was able to step out of the business. So Brian Snyder took over as COO and then CEO. He took over as CEO in 2020, so it's been almost 3 years ago now. And I was able to step out. So what have I been doing kind of in that time? Number one, I've been spending just a lot of time with my family. That's been just an amazing experience, just have that space and margin to be able to spend time with them. I've started writing a book that's actually, it's going to be coming out in, probably about 6 months. So we're going to be launching through that. So that's really, really exciting. I've never written a book before, so I've been able to do some things that I've never done before. I bought a guitar, so I started doing some guitar lessons, a little bit of that. And I've been able to start an organization called Iron Deep, which extremely passionate about. It's basically an organization and a community of businessmen, mostly real estate guys, of faith, and really just develop this community. We do these, off the beaten path retreats and community building events, and really these are just spaces that we can just grow deeper in relationship with each other, to grow deeper relationship with God, and really just to kind of get radically honest with each other, which I think is just totally different than other types of events and mastermind types of settings that I've been in. So that's been really, really cool. It's called irondeep.com. So that's one thing I've been launching as well.
Yeah, I definitely have seen some of your content floating around. So I know you've been hitting that pretty hard, which is really awesome, man. So congrats on kind of getting that up and running. I know I've heard a lot of great feedback from people that have been to your retreats, and just people kind of watching your other podcasts that you have where you talk kind of more in depth about, your mission behind that. So awesome stuff. And the book, man, that's exciting. So we'll have to.
If you could write a book, what would you write a book about, Randy?
Probably lawn care.
Awesome.
How to have the perfect lawn, man. That's awesome. So, you've been pretty busy then the past few years. It's all been sort of real estate related. I know you've been doing some things, but more just personal goals that you wanted to kind of check off your list and what you wanted to do. That's awesome. So now flash forward to the start of 2023. You have decided to come back into the business. You're our CEO again. Mm-hmm. And it kind of felt like, at least from my seat, it kind of felt like things kind of happened overnight. Like, did it kind of like talk to me about kind of leading up to you kind of like the days of getting back in. Did you have to like mentally prepare, or was it like riding a bike where you're just like, oh, I know what I'm doing. I'll just kind of hop in and start doing this again?
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a great question. Honestly, yeah, it kind of did happen a little bit overnight. Kind of took by surprise, and it was just a mixture of a lot of different things. Honestly, there was some transitions within our company, which obviously that was a piece of it. It was the real estate market that's kind of tightening up a little bit, which we're going to talk about on the next show. You're going to give us an update on that. Um, and I just felt like it was just time to kind of step back in. And honestly, was it like riding a bike? I would say no. I felt like I was kind of like a rookie again. I was kind of like a newbie, kind of coming in in this business. And I think a lot of it was just because the business has changed a lot since
Yeah.
since when I stepped out. Whether it's the channels that we're marketing to, a lot of the channels are similar, but the depth of which we do things now has changed a little bit. The amount of marketing that we're spending had changed a little bit. The team had changed. The prices of Indianapolis have definitely shifted a little bit since when I stepped out. And so honestly, I was stepping back into a business I feel like that was a lot different than when I stepped out. So for me, honestly, this last 6 weeks has been a learning curve. Starting to get the hang of things, and get my feet wet again. But a lot of this is new. I mean, even the systems and the companies or the tools that we use are different, right? Our CRM system is different. We've always done these different marketing strategies, but the people that we use or the software that we use is just different. So honestly, a lot of it was just learning again. Even the MLS system is different. So like even that, like everything, which we
Everything
talked
changed.
about, even my board had shifted to a different, to the BLC. It's just different. So like everything was just kind of
Yeah.
different. So for me, yeah, I'm still getting used to it. And, I'm humbly coming back in and just kind of, learning where I can and going from there. So,
Yeah, man, I definitely agree. I think nothing like the system stuff, I didn't really realize it because I had been using all the things that we switched over to for a few years now.
mhm.
So I honestly I never thought about like how you felt kind of getting back in. Like everything is is
Yeah,
completely different with our CRM and
yeah,
all the stuff that we use for marketing, like you said. So yeah, I bet that was kind of a shock for you. I know you mentioned like the prices for homes were kind of eye opening for you in some of these areas. Is that like would you say that's probably like the biggest adjustment of like we're analyzing deals now and you're looking at some of these prices that we're having to buy and you're thinking probably initially like there's no way.
yeah.
Is it just like is it relearning the market probably the biggest curve you think?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's been a huge thing, and I'm getting used to it now. I'm getting adjusted to it. But yeah, I mean, a lot of these areas that we used to buy, maybe it would be half the price, and now we used to be able to buy rentals, literally 5-6 years ago at the 2% rule at certain
Yeah.
areas, and then now we're at the 1% rule, which is still really, really good. I mean, Indianapolis is it's a great, amazing cash flow market at the 1% rule. I mean, you can't get that hardly anywhere else, right? But when you're used to doing the 2% rule, so that's been just an adjustment. So that's been a huge thing. But I think again, it's like swimming. It's like riding a bike. You get your feet wet, you start pedaling a little bit, and I'm starting to get my feet under me, and I think one of the biggest things is that we're having to think creatively too. And I think I want to encourage the investors out there that are listening to this. It's time not to paralyze. I think that just to be radically honest with everybody, I'm seeing some people paralyze right now.
Yeah.
And I was just had a podcast with Eric Brewer, who he's in the Collective Genius, the mastermind group that we're in, and he was talking about that he was paralyzed for about 90 days there, and didn't know exactly what he was going to do. But I think it's all of our time to dig deep, to get back to thinking creatively. As business owners and entrepreneurs, that's when we started. We had to think a little differently. We've had to think creatively. This isn't the first time that we've had to pivot and to think a little bit differently. So, on your end, Randy, too, like we're thinking, what are some different ways that we can sell properties, right? We're still selling a lot of properties, but we're doing some different strategies, or buying properties, right? We've talked about different ways to buy properties, whether it's a novation strategy, whether it's, a seller financing creative strategy. I think that we all need to think about, a little bit creatively. And then I want to say that one thing. So thinking creatively, and then the second thing is I think we all need to think about, like, what are we really the expert in, and we need to dig into that and lean into that a little bit more. So if you're listening out there, I want to encourage you, like, think about, like, what are you really, really good at? What are you still the expert in, that you can really lean into? And that's what we're kind of doing. We're having a meetup tonight. We've done events, we've done well at events. We're launching this podcast again, and so that's something that we've done well, that have encouraged people from all over. We've built some amazing relationships from this particular podcast, the Indy Investor. So these are some things that, like, we feel like, hey, we've done well. Maybe we've stopped doing, and let's lean into these a little bit more. And I want to encourage our listening audience to do that same thing.
Yeah, no, that's like just the tail end of what you just talked about was great advice. I mean, I think with a lot of the craziness that happened in the market over the past year and a half, it was easy for people to let go of their core activities that got them to where they were, and because it was just a sales frenzy, and you left your foot off the gas on, like, those true business development, business building activities that you're really good at, and then now where we kind of had a little bit of a market shift. It's causing a lot of people to kind of go back to the basics, or their own basics, right? So that's great advice. So, I know you mentioned you talked to Eric Brewer, who's in CG. I know I've talked to a lot of other people in our mastermind as well. They're kind of in the same boat as you, not necessarily as extreme where you are completely out and came back in, but maybe they're just sitting in a CEO role. They had a whole team working for them, but then maybe some people have left and they step back in. So is there any other, like, advice for people that are in your position coming back into the business from a CEO? Maybe now they're the CEO, COO, and, director of sales at the same time. Like, is there anything, any piece of advice just to make sure you're not kind of overstepping, or just making sure kind of like you're not throwing your employees day to day off track or anything like that?
Yeah. Well, maybe Randy, you can answer that, because I've stepped back in. But I think one thing is just to continuously trust your team. And I know that's sometimes hard to do if things are a little bit shaken up. That you're like, oh, I need to get back in there and just grab the wheel again and figure things out. And I've had those tendencies too. Just to make sure, hey, let's get in there. I want to control this situation. So maybe not to do that, but to continuously to trust your team. Let your team still own their roles and do what they do best and be the expert at those particular roles. So that's one thing I've tried to do. I might not have done the best, but I would just encourage you to do that. I would just encourage you, I think that sometimes it's a humbling circumstance when maybe you're the CEO and you've had to step back in to this and the COO, or maybe you even had to step back into sales, right? And you're having to look at houses again or talk to sellers. That is a humbling role. From my point of view, I was actually sitting in the owner's box to step back in as kind of the leader of the company. I don't use titles as much, but just kind of, trying to lead the company. And sometimes we can be like, oh man, I'm going backwards, possibly, right? Or if you're CEO
Yeah.
and you had to step back into the sales role, you're like, oh, I have to go backwards. I don't want to do that anymore. Um, and I would just say humble yourself. And like you said, just trying to get back to the basics. And none of us are way up here. And sometimes we might have been sitting in that position and maybe some pride has welled up. So I think
Hmm.
we all need to humble ourselves in a situation. We need our teams, and we need to trust our teams, and we also just need each other. So yeah, we all, reach out for help. If you're an indie investor and you need some help with certain things, we'd love to just chat with you. We'd love to build that relationship with you. We feel like maybe we've lost some of that just in the past because, like you said, we didn't, it was a selling frenzy. We would just list something and it would sell, and that's it. We didn't have to build strong relationships with people. But now I think during these challenging times, we need our relationships together, and trust your team, and just to humble yourself, and
Yeah.
drop your pride off, and let's just get back in and get back to the basics. And it won't be forever either, but just get back to the basics and do what we need to do right now to weather this thing out.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, I can speak to a little bit about kind of kind of my experience. I think just to kind of piggyback on like kind of your advice, if you're coming back in, more than likely, in my opinion, just from what I've heard, it's not big changes that you need to do. It's more of like the little things that have been falling through the cracks that you just need to tighten up. Um, Usually that's probably the case of where you need to spend the most focus. I don't think someone needs to come in and just completely revamp the entire company plan strategy. It's like, hey, let's keep doing what we're doing, but let's just be talking to our leads and start it from the very beginning, run it through your entire process and see where the holes are. And just kind of go from there. And just, it might be the little things that will help you kind of adjust and grow again. So this is kind of my word of advice.
For sure. That's awesome. Love it.
Um, well, man, I appreciate it. It's you're 2 months in, so kind of going strong now, and
Yeah,
looking
man.
forward to the rest of the year. Is there anything else you kind of want to kind of round this episode off before we log off here?
I just thought just end with this, guys. One of the reasons why we're launching this back out, we took a little bit of a break. Is just again, I think it's just about helping you build, and we want to build those relationships with you guys. So we would love if you're interested in being on the podcast. We want to talk to other Indianapolis investors just to get their feedback on different things, and just for us to build those relationships with you as well. If you want to know about something, we love to share with you on this particular podcast. We're excited to be back. I'm excited to be back. We're gonna rock this thing out, and I think that we just all need each other. So let's have that abundant mindset. Let's come together, and let's do this indie investing together. So
Yeah, absolutely. So if anyone has any questions, Brett at simplewholesaling.com. Anyone has any questions for any properties in Indianapolis, or just the market in general, reach out to me, Randy at simplewholesaling.com. I'd be happy to help you out. So with that, that'll be the end of the episode. So thanks for listening.
awesome. Thanks, guys.